Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and we have a guest this evening whose name is Liz, and you are from?
My name is Liz, and I'm from Woodstock Apothecary.
Oh, still Woodstock. When does it become?
I don't know.
But it is.
It is. So soon we'll be Village Apothecary to match our other location in Saugerties.
And then in Kingston.
And then soon to be in Kingston. Lake Katrine, really. But yeah, Kingston.
Isn't that something?
So so soon we'll have 3 different locations of pharmacies, all Village Apothecary.
So
don't be confused when you call in the near future and we answer Village, although I'm sure we'll answer Woodstock.
For a long time.
Change is hard for people. We can't do
well,
anything.
now, what about the place in Connecticut? Is that Village Apothecary as well?
No, because our location in Connecticut does not include a pharmacy, we can't call it an apothecary.
So what do you call it?
So it's named something sort of fun. It's called Village Vitality.
Ooh.
I know.
That's nice.
I know.
Village Vitality.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
We like the village theme because we really never want to become we're expanding, but we don't ever want to become like a big box store. We want to remain your local trusted place to go, and we really liked the idea of the village as being part of our name because that's really what we want to serve the people of the villages and towns that we're in, So.
That's great.
Yeah.
But now I noticed that over in Lake Katrine or Kingston, the building you're going to be in is still not finished.
No. And I even went last Tuesday. I went with the hard hat and everything. It was really exciting, and we got to go see the space. And it's really very close to being finished. It's just the details, like the finishing touches that they need to do. But it's close, and so it's aimed for summer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I tell everyone we'll see it early fall. Because I feel like that's how projects like this go. Like there's always, but they say that they're on target. So, I mean, early July is really the target open time.
They're going to have that building finished?
That's the goal, and they still are standing firm on it. So, I think it'll be interesting. And I don't think all of like the doctor's offices will be moving. Like I don't think all the doctor's practices, the word I want to use, they're not all going to be moving in at the same time. I think it'll be staggered. But it's really amazing. I mean, they're going to have an urgent care center in there and a surgical suite. I mean, it's floors and floors of doctor's offices. So, I mean, it's just going to be all right there.
Now, this is just a detail, and I'm just curious. Are new physicians moving in, or are these going to be physicians and urgent care centers just coming from other parts of the community?
Here's what I know. Since I'm not affiliated with Mid-Hudson Medical, I don't know exact details, but I do believe that the different practices around our area that have become Mid-Hudson Medical affiliates will be moving to this.
So there will be some empty offices then in Kingston?
I do believe so. That's what I know, and it might not be true. So
that's just what we know at this point.
That's as far as what I know. So I'm excited, and I do think there will be like new, it's a new urgent care center. So it's a new.
Oh, it will be a new urgent care center.
Right, so it's exciting. I think that's so exciting. It's so these urgent care centers are a really nice little addition to our medical arsenal. I feel like nowadays it's just so easy to, if you have a basic, cough or a small wound or something, it's so nice to be able just to walk in and walk in.
Well, and it's so much faster than an emergency room, and you think of an emergency room as being something more acute, something more serious, something bigger. You think heart attack, broken leg, or whatever.
Right.
And I've been living with emergency centers now since the early 90s, or the 80s anyway, because I was in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And I love them. They're open after 5.
Yes.
And you don't want to go. I mean, we all love our pediatricians, but truthfully, when you have a child with a cold and an earache, and your doctor he's got appointments booked.
Right.
It's just nice to have that this is available.
It is.
It
is. Right. I totally agree. I mean, I like the consistency of going to your physician, but when it's just a quick cough or cold that you just want to get checked out, or you're a little worried about something, it's nice to use that as a first step sometimes.
Yeah. And that way you're not necessarily wasting his precious time or her precious time, but still.
Right.
But now let's get back over here. We're going to do this nervous system this evening. So tell me what you have brought.
Well, we can start at the basics.
Okay.
We get there. But what I do for a living, I'm a registered dietitian. I figure I'll tell people so they don't think I'm just some schmo talking about this stuff. So what we do at the apothecary and what my job entails is running our nutrition program where, customers can come in and we can really go over what their needs are, no matter what, if it involves a nervous system or any system and the combination of systems. And we really try and help diet first, supplements second. That's always going to be our goal, which is sometimes silly to some that hear that because we're technically a business. But I can't tell you how many times I say, you don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need to take that, eat a banana. And people look at me like, don't you want to make any money? And I'm like, it's good, but our goal is to actually get you healthy. Not necessarily to empty your wallet in the meantime, I could. I do, there are people that come in and say, I want to take stuff, it makes me feel better, and I could totally take advantage of the situation, but you give somebody 20 things, they're not going to take it consistently, and then they're going to be cranky that nothing worked. No, so it's different. So that's why we're going to talk about some of these things in a moment, but if we're going to focus on the nervous system, I didn't know if you had a specific topic involving the nervous system that you wanted to go over, or just general health.
Just general health of the nervous system, and then what I would say of the diseases of the nervous system or of the issues of the nervous system, what are the most common ones that you hear about, that you observe, what comes across your desk, whatever?
I would say recently, Parkinson's is a huge disease that's being diagnosed more and more frequently, that we're seeing a lot and trying to do our best to help. From a diet and supplement standpoint, we do see people with seizure disorders. There's all kinds of things. So it's really, so I figured, I didn't know if you had a specific disorder in mind.
Because what we're doing is we're working with my book, which is blogged and which is going in print. And as a reflexology teacher, I work system by system through the book. And so last time we did the immune system, we'll do the nervous system, and then next time we'll do the sense organs. So, and then after that, it will be the respiratory system.
Okay.
So,
got info on everything. Let's do this.
Okay. So Parkinson's is a big deal for you guys.
It's a big deal for a lot of people. It's a really unfortunate disease, and it honestly, it's really tough to treat naturally. The biggest thing is diet. There really aren't a lot of supplements besides, honestly, fish oil. There's great research going on right now, even clinical trials with really high doses of fish oil and Parkinson's, and trying to help with some of the symptoms and the tremors. And, it's just it's an unfortunate disease. It's really tough. But we also see a lot of patients with Alzheimer's dementia, even vascular dementia, which technically isn't really too much nervous system because it has more to do with your vascular system being impaired, your blood flow to your brain causing the dementia. There's just so much. We even try and help some patients who have had brain tumors, brain cancer, get over some of the side effects that go along with that kind of treatment, including my own brother. My brother, he's a young guy, and he's just recently in remission for his own brain cancer. So it's something that I hold really near and dear. Our brains are really important. And taking care of them is really important. And taking care of your whole body is really important. But there are so many damaging effects, and it's really tough to treat brain disorders with supplements. It really kind of is. Some of the biggest research that I've seen is with fish oil, because our brain really feeds on fat a lot, and really the fat that you eat is really important when it comes to brain and nerve health. And so that's really one of the biggest things I focus on when somebody comes in is what fats are you eating, what kind of carbohydrates are you eating, because those are the two big foods for the brain and the nervous system.
Okay, so if a person has concerns about the nervous system or has nervous system issues, then you are concerned about fats and carbohydrates.
Yes.
And what kind of carbohydrates are you concerned about?
Well, the biggest thing is cutting back on sugar, sweeteners, that whole bit, and kind of going on that same line, cutting back on refined carbohydrates as well, like white flour, white rice, pastas, pretty much anything with flour. I mean, I have a theory, and it's my own theory, and you can agree or disagree, but I think that no matter how whole grain your flour started, it's just so finely milled and broken down, it really can turn to glucose rather quickly in the body. And if you don't have enough time to kind of burn through that glucose, that's where you can start to develop some of these issues from long-term, like high blood sugar and blood sugar drop, and you can, develop certain other diseases. And it's just, I'd rather we had more stable blood sugar, and I think that we can do that with carbohydrates that incorporate other nutrients in them, like fiber and protein, vitamins and minerals. So I'd much rather you had a sweet potato than a bowl of pasta.
So what you're saying is stay away from wheat.
Well, I don't ever think anybody should give anything up altogether unless you have an allergy or an intolerance or you really need to. But I think for the most part, we eat way too many grains. I'm just going to throw that out there. And we should be eating more fruits and vegetables and beans and peas as our carbohydrate sources.
So if we are to say that we eat too many grains, so that would be wheat, rice, quinoa,
sure,
anything that comes in oats, as in oatmeal.
There's nothing wrong with these foods in moderation, but to use them as the core of your diet, I think is a problem. I do. I think that they don't contain nearly enough nutrients that other carbohydrate-rich foods do, like beans, like sweet potatoes, like carrots, like peas. These things are also starchy and carbohydrate-rich, and they have a lot more to offer your body than the grains. Grains are great, fine, sometimes, but I don't think we should be eating them 3 times a day, every day.
Okay, now this is a very important thing that you've just said, because what you have said is that we need to stay away from grains if we want to have a healthy nervous system and a healthy body.
Yeah.
And I can remember many years ago going through reflexology school that my reflexology teacher said to us, if someone comes to you and they don't feel right, for whatever reason, because reflexologists don't prescribe, there's
Sure.
a lot that we don't do. We work the feet. She said, if you can get them off of wheat, that get away from grains, but wheat was the first thing that she wanted them to get rid of.
Wow, many years ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this was at least 40 years ago.
Wow.
So she wanted no grains, but start with wheat. So now we go to a society where we eat cereals for breakfast.
Yep.
Many people eat cereals for breakfast, and oatmeal is considered to be a miracle food.
The reason why a lot of people are into oatmeal is for like cholesterol benefits.
Okay.
It is a source of soluble fiber, and that's something that can help lower cholesterol. I wouldn't say it's a miracle food personally, but I do think that it's just fine, but I wouldn't do it every day.
Okay.
So get what I'm saying? Like, it's good.
Yeah.
Grains are fine. You don't have to give them up completely, but all the time. I remember being in school as a dietitian, and to be honest, I'm not really thrilled with a lot of things I learned in school. But one of the things was the food guide pyramid was big then, and they were pushing 6 to 10 servings of grains a day. And even then I was like, that's not right. When you sit and calculate that, that's a lot of bread and cereal and those types of things. And I right then was kind of like,
well, and we know now that was a mistake. There are a lot of books out there that are saying that was a mistake. So the question I have is, if you're going to give up, you give up bread, so that's fine. You just don't do sandwiches, so that's fine. And a lot of people who have weight problems, if they give up wheat, if they can give up sandwiches, they're going to get a better figure. They're going to look better. Your body's going to look better.
I have this theory.
Okay.
That our body is meant to eat food in the way in which it was grown. So when you're taking food that's processed, like bread or anything else processed that's been transformed and made into something else, your body's not going to process it and actually digest it and absorb nutrients from it as well. So I think I'd rather you ate whole grains, like boiled up some quinoa and ate it, than a piece of bread, because it's food in its true form. I think that if you give your body food in the right combinations, real food, untouched, unplayed with food, your body is going to lean out because you're feeding it what it needs to function properly. Mm-hmm. And we're feeding our bodies all the time foods that are not actually food to our body. They look good and they taste good. After they leave our mouth, what's happening down here? We haven't evolved that much in a few hundred years that we can, digest Doritos the same way we can as apples and peanuts, or anything else. So it's just cutting back on the stuff that's fake.
Well, and of course, to digress here, when we talk about hundreds of years acclimating our body to food, what we eat has changed so dramatically in the last 20 years, in the last 10 years. You look at an ordinary, when you go into the grocery store and you see all of these things that are not food. Right. They're chemicals designed for people to ingest, but they're not foods. I'm wondering if this has happened in the last 20 years, what's going to happen in the next 20 years? What's going to happen in the next 50 years?
I'm kind of hopeful about this, because there's a little bit of a movement rising of people that want, and we're in Woodstock area, so this is going to be a lot stronger around here, but people that want to know where their food came from and what was done to it, and what was it fed, and where did it come from, and who, how was it messed around with. People care about what's getting put into their bodies now more than they did 30 years ago, by far. I'm hopeful that this is going to continue catching on, and that food companies are going to have to start paying attention to what they're putting in their foods, because hopefully the masses just won't tolerate it anymore.
I hope not.
That's my hope. And you see it catching on. Why do you think the gluten-free trend is catching on so much? And not that I'm a proponent of gluten-free for everyone, but food companies are listening to what we want, and if we can rise up enough to create this stir in the food companies, it's a long shot.
Yes. So
it's a goal.
So the question I have is, if we're going to leave cereal behind for breakfast, what are we going to have for breakfast?
Eggs. Local eggs.
What?
From local
Which
chickens
I love.
that run around, and you can see them run. Shocker.
In chicken yards, yes.
Oh my gosh.
And people can figure out where the eggs came from.
They can eat eggs, or they can eat, really good full-fat plain yogurt with nuts and fruit. You could have if you want to have grains and you don't want to eat flour, you could eat sprouted grain breads that don't have flour. You can find them in the freezer section. I don't know if you've ever seen these.
The Ezekiel bread?
Yeah. You could eat a piece of toast that's smeared with your favorite nut butter, and a piece of fruit. That's a nice breakfast. And you could have oatmeal once or twice a week, but every day, I think that we should switch it up. And anytime we eat the same things every day, you're really limiting your intake of good nutrients you could be getting from other foods.
Something else we could have for breakfast too, which is totally foreign to people in this country, but we could have a bowl of beans.
You could, totally. I eat leftovers for dinner sometimes for breakfast. Why not, right?
Well, now that was something that I was also going to ask you about too, because there are a lot of places on this planet where that's what you do.
Yeah.
You have what you did not finish for dinner.
Yeah.
You have for breakfast the next day.
Yeah.
And you don't have to cook a lot. It's there. It's available.
Yeah, totally. It's the idea of leftovers is huge for me. I think it's good for everyone. If you're going to cook, why not do the same amount of work just in mass quantity and produce a lot? If you're going to grill up some chicken breast, grill up 3 portions of it and have some for later in the week. I hear all the time it's so hard to eat healthy. It's expensive to eat healthy. If you plan ahead, it doesn't need to be hard or expensive. It does not.
No, it really does not. Listen. Junk food costs so much money.
And so does junk food that's disguised as health food.
Right. Yes.
You have gluten-free pretzels that are $6 for a bag. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs all that flour. Nobody does. Sorry.
Right. The gluten-free pretzels are junk, no matter what people say. So let's get back now to the fats.
Okay.
We want to have a healthy nervous system, and you talk about fats, and what's coming to my mind is fish oil. But then what about the oils that we eat and cook with?
Yeah.
Tell me, what ones are those? Are any of those good for our nervous system?
Yeah. I mean, you would want fats that give you some benefit, right?
Yes.
A lot of our nerve endings are fat. So we want to give our bodies fats that they can utilize to keep our nerves really healthy. And so fats that are found in good quality, allowed to run eggs, chickens that lay eggs, those fats are great for you. Olive oil that's from a good source that you can guarantee is olive oil. So when I say that, I say it because the olive oil industry is absolute garbage. And there's so many non-olive oils on the shelf that say 100% olive oil. So I always recommend olive oil from California because California is really strict about agriculture in their state. And they'll actually go and make sure the California Olive Board will go to the factory and the plants and make sure that they're using olives, they're pressing it right, they're doing it right. Because all of the olive oil that we're importing from other countries, I'm not sure how much they care there, what they're putting in there. Nobody's checking here. It's a really big problem.
They may not, they probably, in Italy, I think they do care about the olive oil that is consumed in their own country.
Maybe.
But what they export is another item entirely.
It's a really big problem. There's even a book, if anybody likes to read books about trafficking of olive oil, it's called Extra Virginity. And it sort of talks about olive oil trafficking and how there's nut and seed oils being tainted and added to a lot of our olive oils.
Sunflower seeds and other kinds of seeds.
Yeah.
And what is your stand on canola oil?
I think it's an omega-6 fatty, it contains a lot of omega-6 fatty acids, which we get too much of already, and there's really no benefit of canola oil. And when you're getting it in those clear plastic jugs, vegetable oil, canola oil like that, I mean, those oils are so highly refined. They're even bleached and then colored and flavored. Mm-hmm. They're not food, those are plastic to me. They're just... those are some of the worst, most inflammatory oils that you can eat. Are those jug oils. But that's what a lot of us go to, when people make salad dressings and when people make box cake mixes, they all call for this stuff. And I think that we really need to move away from these plastic, fake, refined oils. I do. I'd rather somebody had an avocado smeared on their toast than...
Right.
Some of these, other fats that we eat. But, nuts and seeds are great sources of fat as long as they're dry roasted or raw and not roasted with lots of other oils. That just makes them inflammatory. Avocados are great. Coconut oil is really good fat for your nervous system, for your skin, for inflammation, and your GI tract. So I really like coconut oil a lot too, as long as it's unrefined. That's really important.
Well, now, if it's unrefined coconut oil, how do you get that into your diet? The reason I'm asking is because I bought some.
Okay.
And I was at a talk about, and it was a professional talk. It was given by a psychotherapist, but he was going around talking to medical professionals about people who are aggressive, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the talk, he said there are some things that we need to do in our diet. And he named 3 or 4, and one of them was coconut oil. So I got it home, and I couldn't figure out what to do because it was solid.
Right.
So how do you incorporate that into your diet?
I use it every day.
Oh, right.
Every day. And there's a lot of things. If I make a smoothie, I'll always throw in a tablespoon into the blender, and it just sort of incorporates in, it sort of emulsifies in. If you keep your blender on long enough, it'll emulsify in. I actually use it to saute, do high heat cooking now, because it does have a high smoke point, so it's not going to go rancid as quick as, say, olive oil. You really should not cook olive oil high for too long. It should be like a quick saute that you do olive oil, but so coconut oil can handle the high heat better. So I've been using that for that. My favorite way to use it, though, this has become a nightly indulgence, is air popping popcorn and using coconut oil as like the fat, the drizzle, the coconut oil that's melted. Instead of butter with salt.
Because it has a wonderful flavor.
It does, and you would think a lot of people, when I say that to them, they kind of, coconut oil on my popcorn, but once you try it with some salt, it is really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
So that is a way to use that oil in your diet.
And if you really want to take more, I mean, you could just spoonful it into your mouth, but it's very waxy, and some people just don't like that texture. You know,
well, and then you start crunching on it. I mean, I was really trying to figure out what you do, and it doesn't taste bad. It has a good flavor.
No, it's nice. And if you buy, there's 2 different processes that you can do with coconut oil. You can ferment it, which is what most of coconut oils in the market are, where they have that very aromatic scent, and it's flavored kind of like, it reminds me of vacation, like the beach or something. But they can also be cold pressed, and when you cold press it, there's much less flavor. So that you could saute chicken in that, and if you don't want it to taste like coconut, it won't. We have both kinds at the apothecary, because sometimes you want it to taste coconut, and sometimes you just don't.
Oh, you do sell that at the apothecary?
Yeah, we have both kinds, which is really nice. Something I've been doing with coconut oil too lately is making a body lotion out of it.
Oh, really? Tell us about that.
So if you have a stand mixer, I mean, you could just take it right out of the jar in your hand and let it melt and rub it on your skin. But if you have a stand mixer, like a KitchenAid with a whisk attachment, put the whisk on, throw it into your container, your bowl, solid. You don't want to melt it. Throw it in solid and just whisk it for like 5 minutes. Air sort of incorporates into it and it becomes fluffy. And then I like to add, I do use the coconut oil that really is aromatic with this. I'll add some vanilla, like essential oil. And sometimes I'll add a little bit of vitamin E oil just as a preservative. And then that's it. And I put it in a jar and I put it in my bathroom when I get out of the shower. That's what I use instead of body lotion that you can buy at the store. And I tell you, my skin has never felt better on my body. It's so much softer, so much smoother, and it's so much easier, and it's cheaper. So I'm like beating myself. Why did I not do this earlier, right?
Also, you make it so you know that it doesn't have a lot of additives and things to it. Because cosmetics truly are jars of chemicals.
Yeah, we just did a class on this week at the apothecary. We do free classes every month, and this month we sort of delved into skincare a little bit. And I was telling our customers, this was something that literally I had you ever just have moments where you feel like your mind just got blown a little bit? So I was one of those little, girls, little product junkie. Every week I had a new shampoo, and it was never from, a healthy source. It was from the local drugstore or something. Always trying something new, throwing whatever on my body, lotions, whatever was marketed to be, a good result, but never actually healthy. And then somebody came in. It was right when I first started at the apothecary. And somebody came in with their blood levels in hand, from the doctor. And they had really low magnesium, really low. And they were having a lot of muscle cramping, and they were really just having a hard time. And so I looked at Neil, who's our owner, who's working as the pharmacist that day. And I said, all right, I'll get her some magnesium. And he said, nope. And he said, get magnesium oil. And so he instructed the person to put magnesium oil on their legs. And I said, why would you do that? I'm so confused. And he said, that will get to the bloodstream so much faster than if they swallowed it. And I was like, wow. You mean everything I put on me gets into my bloodstream? And he was like, oh yeah, it's gross, right? And I was like, it just freaked me out. I mean, I could not believe it. Like that putting something on your skin would get to your blood faster than if you swallowed it. That's crazy. And really at that point is when I started really looking into what we're putting on our skin, what is getting absorbed into our bloodstream, and what all of those things are doing to our bodies. Because we all think that it's just whatever we eat is affecting our body, but whatever you're putting on your skin affects it too. Isn't that crazy?
Well, we think about there's another category of person too. There's the category who feels that what we eat. So if we're gonna eat something, it's going to heal us or whatever. And then there's the other category who says, well, it's true, but it really doesn't matter what I eat because if I buy enough vitamins and minerals, that will cover it.
Yeah.
But what nobody stops to think about is that some of this stuff can do damage.
Yeah.
You know, some of these creams, some of these lotions, some of this plastic food we eat, you know, can create damage.
You know, I think it takes almost something to happen in your own life to make you take notice of a lot of these things. You know, something that makes you personally really say, oh my gosh, so this is happening. I'll give you an example. So after my daughter was born, I got diagnosed with an estrogen-related cancer. And I went through treatment and it was fine, and I luckily in remission. But I remember the doctor saying to me personally, never eat soy again. But the other one was never use anything on your skin that has a paraben.
Wow.
Because parabens, there's many different kinds, and they always have a prefix like methylparaben or ethylparaben. They're used in a lot of skincare and makeup as preservatives to keep them fresher for years instead of, you know, like a week or two. And they're hormonal precursors, so they can cause like some hormones to form in your body, you know, unnecessarily. And now they're doing, they're researching when somebody has like a breast cancer or just a breast tumor excised, taken out, they're finding parabens in a lot of these tumors. That's absolutely frightening to me. And the parabens are everywhere. They're in shampoo and in conditioner, they're in makeup, they're in lotion, they're everywhere. So you really, I've seen them, people come in a lot with supplements that they've gotten other places, and I see parabens all the time in supplements as like a preservative agent. So you really have to be careful and check your labels. I mean, to me, I would never have cared really until obviously I had a life thing where I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, you get cancer, you don't want to have that again. So what do I need to do to not deal with this again? And I was like, oh my gosh, I really need to start paying attention to this.
Well, if you are now trying to avoid parabens, now this is off the nervous system thing, but this is very, very important. If you're trying to avoid parabens in your life, where do you find your shampoo?
Well, honestly, I mean, if you go to most health food stores now, I mean, parabens aren't really in a lot of health food store products.
Really?
Yeah, the industry's gotten a lot better. I mean, I'll be honest, I'll go to a health food store, and now that I work at the apothecary, I have access to some great products that aren't filled with crazy chemicals. And I even, one of my close friends washes her hair with baking soda and water.
Well, I mean, you know.
And she loves it. She said her hair is great. She loves it. She'll rinse it with like coconut oil, or she'll rinse it with even like a little bit of vinegar to sort of offset the base of the baking soda. She loves it. And she said her hair is great and she doesn't need all that crap.
Well, but it's a real thing, because paraben it's pretty much a given. If you buy a cosmetic or if you buy something to clean your body with, it's going to have parabens. And then when you go into the laundry soap situation, that's just common.
I know.
So it is possible to go to the Village Apothecary, Woodstock Apothecary, and get a shampoo and a skincare product that do not have parabens.
We even have laundry soap there that is really clean.
Then you have given a lot of information to people today.
Yeah,
truly.
The skincare thing is something that's become even more, like, I'm getting so much more into it, and what am I putting on my face, and can I make it? That's fun. It's actually fun to make your own products.
Oh, yeah.
So much fun. Just like, I've been making body wash. It's so much fun. I have a little one. She's 5. She thinks it's the greatest thing ever. To get the funnel out and pour all the things into the bottle and shake it up. And I'm not kidding when I say it takes under a minute.
Oh, yeah. And
you have body wash, a full bottle of it for a couple bucks, and you know all the ingredients that are in there.
That's the important thing. You know what's there.
Yeah. I love it.
Because when you buy something, you don't always know.
No, and you know, but it is fun to do it yourself, and that's something like with the apothecary, we've actually created a cookbook for free for all of our customers. It's online. You can download it at the Village Vitality website. But that's something that we're going to be adding soon, are some skincare recipes. Things that you can do at home that are super easy and that can make you a healthier, cleaner person.
Wow.
For real. Yeah. You know, making soap, all those things, it's fun, and it doesn't take that much effort.
And you don't have the artificial colors and the artificial whatever.
And you can control it, especially the scent. If you like essential oils, this is totally the thing for you to do, because you can just drop.
and then they smell fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, so let's get back over here to the nervous system. You brought 4 bottles.
I brought a few things.
Okay.
Really, the biggest thing for nervous system, as far as what's really being researched supplement-wise, you're not going to get anything more clinically really shown to help the nervous system than fish oil. It's there's so much research going on with fish oil and mood and depression and anxiety and Parkinson's. I've been looking at some research that's going on currently with fish oil, really high doses, like super high, like way higher than I would ever recommend in the store to the average person, with fish oil in brain trauma patients and fish oil with dementia patients. And really changing the quality of life for these patients, like, tremendously. There's a special diet that goes along with it that's been seeming to work. Like, you can't have one without the other. But it's really amazing what taking the right, good anti-inflammatory fat can do for a person who's really suffering with vascular or neurological damage.
Now, let me ask you something. You're talking about Parkinson's, and we're talking about neurological damage, and we're talking about brains. What about these people coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan and Iran with all of these injuries? However they're classified, you can't go through what they've gone through without having neurological damage. That's a given.
Yeah.
So, a basic
something to help. It's not going to cure it. You know,
No,
if you have damage, it won't cure it, but it can really help. And it really seems to go hand in hand with your diet. It's usually like you can't have one without the other.
So what is a good neurological diet? What is a good diet for a person who wants to have a healthy nervous system?
Okay, so cutting back on sugar, just eliminating it if you can.
Okay.
Eating real food only. So, like, I would say 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day.
Well, if you have 10 servings of fruits or vegetables, I know that sounds like an awful lot, but that's really not that much.
I think we should be having small, more frequent meals, eating lots of nuts, good quality eggs if you are not vegetarian or vegan, healthy meats that are grown on, farms where they treat the animal properly, so the meat actually turns out the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Eating beans, eating lentils, eating all of these different foods that are just like, that's it, like, just real food. Pairing them properly and cutting back on a lot of refined carbohydrates like pasta, bread, rice, and just eating fruits, vegetables, good meat, good fat.
Yes.
Legumes. I mean, that is like the ideal diet for all humans, really. But eating something like that with a lot of good fats can help with your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, which is, really important to get that ratio right. In fact, Josh is really getting into this. He's getting obsessed with the omega-3, omega-6 ratio, and he's finding these certain blood tests that people can take to actually get it checked out. And so he's all excited. He's on this, strict kick now. He really wants to get his ratio checked.
Well, as you go down this path and you learn all these things, then you get all interested.
You do. Oh, and Josh, actually, pretty much all of our favorite topic in the supplement world is fish oil. Because there's just, if you do it right and you get it from a good quality source and you take the right dose, because really most people, most stores, most doctors' offices I find are not taking nearly or recommending nearly enough to do anything. So I hear all the time, fish oil didn't do anything for me. Chances are people aren't just taking nearly enough to do it.
Well, if you don't take enough, and if you take an insufficient amount of the wrong kind of oil, what are you going to get out? You can't get anything out of it.
That's how it is with most supplements, but with fish oil, it's really important to get it every single day at the right dose. It is. But it can help so much. Fish oil has been shown to help with mood, which is, part of the nervous system, chemical imbalances in the brain and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Mood and depression and anxiety. I think we all sort of have suffered with some of these things at one point or another in our lives, even if it's for a short period, and taking fish oil can really help that. It's actually something that I recommend for new moms to take, because that period of life can be so stressful. And so taking fish oil can help not only your baby, because one of the fatty acids in fish oil is DHA, which is tremendous for brain and eye and nervous system development in your infant. But it's also great for the mom. It's great for the EPA that's in fish oil. It's so great for mood and for stress and for inflammation and healing. And to me, everybody should be on fish oil, unless you have a medical condition that says otherwise, like an allergy to fish, or you're on a blood thinner and it's dangerous or something like that. But I do think we all would benefit from it because it contains omega-3s we need that we don't eat enough of.
So we need to have fish oil every day.
Yeah.
I'm going to say to you that I take my fish oil at breakfast. Is that a good thing to do early in the day?
Yep. You can take it whenever works best for you. Just take it.
I just feel like that when I get it in the morning, you know, it's like this is going to help me throughout the day. Now you have these other little bottles, these little dropper bottles.
So
what are these little goodies?
I actually called Josh today and I said, what do you, because really this is it to me.
This is it.
The best supplement for your nervous system is fish oil. That's it. I brought this as an example. There are other options that we have at the apothecary of purified, properly fish oil. Not everything out there is properly purified, nor is it the proper product to give yourself those 2 omega-3 fatty acids. So
well, I get from you guys, I get a liquid.
Yeah, and liquid's a great way to get in your fish oil every day. That's what I choose to do as well. Liquid's much more cost effective. Just not all of us can swallow a bunch of oil in one swallow. It's just really gross for some people.
Well,
but
know,
I think
put
it's
it in
fun.
I fix a drink in the morning.
Oh, nice.
I fix a drink in the morning with protein powder and with the liquid fish oil and a cup of Greek yogurt, you know, plain, not flavored, although it can be flavored. And then I have the bee food powder and the all, whatever it is, not the bee, but the one that's all. Whole food powder, and then the ProMen powder.
Oh my gosh.
Every day, and then that's it. I figure, well, that's it for the morning.
Yeah, add some berries or something.
You know, I do, but they're because I'd like to add extra things because I like to chew. I think that's important that we chew.
Yeah.
So I'll throw in some extra things like that, but
you don't really need to. I mean, and some of the things that she had just mentioned, those are some powders that we have at the apothecary that are made from food and food only. And different foods to sort of gear towards different things. So B complex, like she said, a powder with just foods that are very rich in B vitamins, no chemical or synthetic vitamins added, which is awesome.
Well, and I feel like it's very important because this is a low-calorie thing.
Yeah.
And once you're over 70, you need more nutrients and fewer calories.
That's exactly right.
So, and one of my doctors has been really on me because I weigh too much. So that's one way that I can get nutrients without all the calories. But now, what is over here?
You're dying to know what these are.
Yes, I am. I have never been offered this product.
Okay, so these are some liquid extracts from Gaia Herbs, which to me, hands down, is the industry leader in purity, quality, and I guess consistency with herbs. And so these are some herbs that are technically considered like a nerve tonic. These can really help these are mostly for calming. So for like anxious mood states, they can really help to calm you. They can potentially make you quite drowsy at the same time, so that's always good to know. But I do have a lot of patients who come in asking for passion flower for anxiety and to help them sleep at night. So passion flower is great for that, so are wild oats. I wanted to bring motherwort too because this is something to consider. I mean, you always want to make sure that it's appropriate for you based on the meds you're taking and whatnot. As with all herbs, I just always want to say that motherwort is really great if you've had a traumatic incident very recently in your life and you really need help with calming, like tremendous help. Motherwort can be really helpful with that. So I thought I would bring these because these three are considered nerve tonics, and they can really just help to support nerve function and your brain. And they're not anything that you would definitely need to take every day, but if you're having a really hard time, these can be really helpful.
Well, and how do you take these products?
They're liquid, so you can just put them right in your mouth. And I guess I'm not going to give a blanket statement dose. I would normally have you come in and we can work with you and figure out what meds you're taking already, because I don't want you taking anything that's a sedative if you're already taking a sedative, right? You don't want to be taking too much. It's going to suppress any system in your body.
Would these be things that you would take at night Would they be things that you would take in the daytime?
I mean, unless you're not going to be driving and you don't mind being a little drowsy, it's better to take these at night. Or if you're just going to be sitting home and you don't mind taking a nap. But there are things that we have at the store that can also help to calm you without technically being a nerve tonic. We sell a lot of holy basil leaf at the store, which is great for, I guess anxiety would be the best thing. So if you're having a moment where like you just, you know that feeling, or you've got like a pit in your stomach and you just really can't focus or calm, holy basil leaf is a great supplement to take in that moment of need, not necessarily every day, just to help to bring you back down to baseline. It's actually my personal favorite of all of the diet herbs for that reason. And I always have a bottle at home because you just never know. You know,
just for stress.
Just for stress. It's a great source of B vitamins and you know, other things, but it's a great for that.
Well, now, let me ask you something. Is this something that you would have on hand to take regularly? Would a person take this regularly?
I think if a person is having trouble with stress/anxiety/depression on a regular basis, I wouldn't depend on these solely. If that's the case, chances are you have a little bit of a chemical imbalance in your brain, and you might need some additional help. One, if somebody came in with like really bad depression and they wanted to stay natural, I would take the sugar out of their diet, cut out the caffeine, cut out the alcohol, and add a pretty good dose of fish oil. That would be my first step. Now, if you wanted to go a step further, and you really thought you may have a chemical imbalance, it's something that you might want to consider seeing your doctor for, and you know, starting something that can help to fix that imbalance. Because that's really important. I mean, you know, depression, mood, anxiety, stress, all those things over time can really damage your body. You know, stress can produce a lot of cortisol. It can contribute to weight gain. It can contribute to so many detrimental side effects of life, that it's good to take that stuff into to sort of corral it before it gets out of control.
So if you take a dropper full of this or a dropper full of one of these, will you feel a difference in
15 minutes?
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, what about a person who has anxiety? I mean, I am recognizing recently, I would say in the last 6 months, I don't know whether I'm just becoming more aware of anxiety or whether I am becoming more knowledgeable of the symptoms of it. Are there more people out there with anxiety?
I think so. I think our diets have something to do with it. I think our lifestyles are way crazier than they ever used to be back in history. I do think that. And there's a lot more going on. We're living longer. We're experiencing more things. People are getting sick more often nowadays. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for anxiety. I'm going to be honest. I'm totally an anxious person. I suffer with it. I do. And there are things that you can do to help, but I've noticed changing my diet plays a huge difference in it. And so I went to my doctor about it. Because I had cancer, I've been through life changes. My little brother had it too. I mean, we went through some crazy stuff in our family in just a few years' time, and we all were kind of like...
Well, and you don't get over that overnight.
No! And, you know, you can have some issues, and gosh, you know, my doctor will call me and be like, we saw something on your last scan. And so there's these moments, you know? I mean, we're all human. We go through this. And it is nice to have some natural products around if you know that you're an anxious person to help with that. It can really help. But I've noticed taking fish oil on a regular basis and changing my diet just a little bit, has really helped tremendously. Because I went to the doctor and she wanted to prescribe, you know, a prescription for it, which is fine for so many. But I thought I'd just give this a try.
And for you, it's working.
It's working. It really is working. But yeah, you know, anxiety is really hard, and it's very hard to cope with everyday life if you're constantly in that state of anxiety. And there are ways that you can really help yourself without having to go the medical route. Although I'm all for that if that's what you need. I'm all for it. But we can definitely help you if you need it. For sure.
So if a person is suffering from it, you know, when you're talking, you mentioned something very, very important. People often say that if a person has a nervous system situation, they have anxiety. Well, it's all in their head. They're not right. You know, that's not necessarily true. Your life can go out of control, and you're trying to pick up the pieces and deal with what's left.
Right. There's a couple reasons. There can be chemical imbalances, or there can be life situations, and, you know, taking the time for yourself to have rests and breaks and calm yourself can play a huge role in your mental health. You know?
Absolutely.
Eating right, taking time for yourself, rest.
So if you can find this that can offer you some anti-anxiety response, then that's what you need. That is not to say that there is something wrong with you.
Right.
It is to say that you're living in the 21st century.
Yeah, and everybody's so different. Everybody's a puzzle. So these things may not work for you, or these things may be dangerous for you. So it's always good to go to a place that you trust, that understands medications, diseases, supplements, and how they all work together. And we can do that for you at the apothecary.
And not just walk in the store and take something.
Yeah, we'll really do our best to make sure you have no interactions and no issues, because everyone's so different.
That's very true. Yeah. Well, and their diet. If
diet.
Your diet is different, and everyone's diet is different.
Yeah.
When you really get down to the brass tacks, everyone's diet is really, really different.
Really different.
But this is universal.
99.9% of the time, people could benefit.
This is
from
universal.
fish oil.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a staple in the kitchen.
Yeah. In fact, we do these free health classes every month, and one of our techs makes fun of me, and he says, "Is this your monthly class on fish oil?" Because it's always a different topic, but it always comes back to fish oil. And so it's just so true to us. If you're gonna take one thing and one thing only, that's it.
Make it the fish oil.
Yeah.
Well, and then if you add the coconut oil.
Yeah, and really good healthy fats, and get rid of the bad fats, and cut back sugar even a little bit. Drink more water. You're gonna feel so much better.
Yes.
Yeah. You are.
And your skin is going to look better, and your hair is going to look better, and these things are extremely important. And I think we just ran out of time, and I thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
And once again, we have more to talk about than we have time.
It's always true.
So next time you come, we're going to be talking about the sense organs, which is smell, sight, hearing, touch.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll do it. And thank you so much for watching this program. And you have a lovely evening.